John Legend. I've never spoken to an EGOT before. I'm actually really nervous right now.
No, you're not.
Huge fan, huge fan. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. I'm excited to be back in Orlando.
Yeah, so tell me about this tour that you're on this year.
Yeah, it's a really intimate night. It's just me on the piano, singing songs from throughout my career, but also telling stories from throughout my life, including my career, but also how I got started in music, some of my family background, and everything that's made me who I am. So some of the stories are funny. Some of the stories are just random things that you never would have known unless I told you, and then some of them are emotional and about some of the tough times in my life. But all of it is about what made me who I am today, and I feel like the audience really gets to know me by the end of the show, and I feel much more connected to them by the end of the show. So I love doing the show. I always say it's one of my favorite things to do, and it really is. I love this show. I love doing it. I love doing it in venues that allow me to be really close to the audience, and I'm excited to do that in Orlando.
That's wonderful. I know a little bit, about your background and that you won your spelling bee when you were a child.
Yeah.
So if music hadn't worked out for you, would you have become a spelling teacher? Like, where do you think life would have gone?
Well, I was an English major in college, so I guess I could have been an English teacher. I honestly think I would have probably gone to law school eventually. I'm very interested in justice and politics, and so I probably would have gone that direction. But my first job out of college, which I talk about at the show, was as a management consultant. I worked at this place called Boston Consulting Group for 3 years out of college, and I was, burning the midnight oil after work trying to get signed, and it took a little longer than I expected, but I was doing both. I was working the corporate day job, trying to write music and record and play gigs around New York and Philadelphia at night.
That's the stuff that people often forget, is that had you given up on music, right, where would you be? You'd be an accountant or something. Like, we're all out here trying to make it, and then something clicks and you're moving forward into where you're supposed to be. Like, did you ever come into contact with your own self disbelief and maybe thinking imposter syndrome, like maybe I can't do this?
Well, I was rejected so many times when I was trying to get a record deal. Even the label I'm signed to now rejected me at the time. So I felt that rejection, but also had this confidence and resilience and like real belief in myself that this is what I was really supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. And I just kept going. Even when people told me no, I assumed that yes was around the corner. And it took longer than I thought it would, but I just kept believing that yes was around the corner. And eventually it was.
So do you have that same advice then for people who find themselves sort of in transition or struggling with finding where they fit in this world?
Yeah, I think everybody has to, first of all, figure out what they really want to do. And sometimes that's not always easy to figure out what you really want to do. But you also have to put in the time to get really good at it. And I'd been putting in that time since I was a kid. I was taking piano lessons. I was singing in the church choir. I was finding all kinds of ways to perform and to hone my skills as a performer. And so I was preparing all my life. They say luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Mm-hmm. And I was preparing all my life. And then when the opportunity finally came, I was ready.
That's fantastic. Is that the same advice that you would give to the contestants that you work with on The Voice?
Absolutely. I talk to them about that a lot, but also I talk with them because they've already become really good singers, and that's why they're there. But there's more to being a great artist than being a great singer. And so I also talk to them about what it means to be an artist, what it means to have a point of view as an artist, something that distinguishes you from other artists, your influences, your life story, all the things that make you you, have to kind of come together and be part of your artist's story.
Hmm.
And I think that's what sometimes trips people up who can really sing, is that they still haven't figured out who they are as an artist. They're just, really good singers. And so, and then you have to have luck. You have to have all these things come together to really make it in our business. And it's still not easy, even when you've got it all together. But I tell them, really, it's about figuring out your voice as an artist and not just as a singer.
Do you recommend visualizing, and maybe do you have a ritual that you do before you go on stage or before you're recording or anything like that? Like, do you visualize yourself hitting the notes or?
I don't really do that at this point. What I really do is focus on warming up, getting my voice ready for every night. Also taking good care of my voice so that I'm not drinking or eating things that aren't helpful for me singing. So I don't drink a lot of alcohol when I'm on tour, basically no alcohol on tour. And then before shows, I don't eat or drink a lot of dairy and things like that. Drink a lot of tea and drink a lot of water.
So taking care of your instrument is basically what you're saying. Yeah.
So that's what I'm really focused on once I'm on the road. By that point, I know what I want to say at the shows, even though I improvise every night based on the vibe I'm getting from the crowd. But I know what I want to do on stage, but it's a matter of making sure that my body is ready to do what it needs to do. And we're athletes, even if we're not dancing a lot, even if I'm just sitting there playing the piano, even being a vocal performer is similar to being an athlete in the sense that you're depending on your body to perform, and you need to make sure you're doing what you need to stay healthy so that it's ready to perform when you need it to.
A lot of breath control goes into everything, right?
Yeah, breath control, all that
posture, I would assume, probably has a lot to do with it too.
Hydration, all those things.
Awesome. Are you bringing your family down to Disney and the other theme parks that we have to offer?
Not this time. They're in school, and I'm not pulling them out of school, so I'll see them on the weekend after my Florida shows. They actually have like a big camp trip that their grade does with the parents right after my Florida shows. So I'm going to fly back for the weekend and go to camp with the kids.
That's awesome. I'm sure that you've been asked a lot of questions during this press tour that you're doing. Is there anything that you haven't been asked that you want to answer? Is there anything at top, about inspiration, about, connecting with the crowd, anything like that?
Well, what I really want to do is invite people to come to the show because you really get a chance to get to know me. There's a lot of things I talk about in the show that people haven't asked me about before. And then, just stories that, people are like, oh, wow, I had no idea. I talk about how I got my name. I talk about even the kind of legal shenanigans we had to go through to secure my name and the trademark for my name. I talk about some of the records I was a part of early in my career that a lot of people don't know about. So a lot of that stuff is part of what I talk about in the show. And I talk about some of the tough times I've had in my life, some of it, my early childhood with my family. When my parents got divorced and things like that, all of that helped make me the artist that I am. And I talk about all of it during the show.
I think for a performer of your caliber, because you went through those hard times, I feel like that's why people can connect with you, because you're so vulnerable and we can feel your energy in those songs like Bridge Over Troubled Waters. That, just thinking about you singing that is giving me the chills because that's an important song for you, right?
Yeah, I dedicated to my grandmother, who we lost at a pretty young age. She was in her late 50s when she passed away. She had heart failure, and I was very close to her. And she was the first person that taught me how to play gospel music and really was kind of the foundation for who I became as a musician. And so I sing that song and dedicate it to her, and I talk about her influence in my life. And that's an important part of the show. It's one of the moments in the show that, people laugh during my show, but they also cry. And it's, I think, quite a emotional show to witness. And my grandmother is at the center of that.
It sounds like an amazing night for anyone that can attend. John Legend, thank you so much for being yourself and for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.